Welcome to the All About You podcast. My name is Sheila and I am your host. In this podcast, I invite people to tell their stories of their travels, hobbies, and passions. These podcasts are also now available on my All About You YouTube channel. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story. Welcome to the All About You podcast. And my guest today is someone who has been on my wish list for quite some time, the very talented singer and songwriter, Jaime Nanci. Jaime, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Sheila. Thank you so much for inviting me in for the chat.
Looking forward to this, learning all about you. So, Jaime, can you introduce yourself? Because you're going to do a better job than I can.
My name is Jaime Nanci. I'm an Irish musician, artist, creative, living in Valencia.
So, Jaime, let's start. I came across you at a local music venue here in Valencia, and I thought you were absolutely incredible. Your singing, your arrangements of songs, and your personality that comes through. So we've got a lot to cover. So let's go back to the beginning. When you were a kid, did you have any musical influences that you can say made you really get on that path of being a singer-songwriter?
My dad is a massive music fan. So he still has extensive record collection. He's really into the blues and like people like Nina Simone, Ry Cooder, lots of great musicians that were always, it was just a soundtrack that was always there. He was very protective of his records. You know, he couldn't go and put them on because they were very special and we'd scratch them, of course. I was always interested in his appreciation of it, I think. And it's funny, actually, I have two siblings, a younger brother and an older sister. And my dad, I mean, both my parents are amazing, but my dad has clearly had a massive influence on us without us even realising. My dad loves gardening, my sister is a horticulturalist, my dad loves boxing, and my little brother was a boxer and now is a boxing trainer, and my dad loves music and I'm a musician. So I think that's, without even realizing, that came to me recently and I was like, oh wow, we're really trying to please him somehow.
Wow. Bit of a talented family then, with all those different activities.
I don't know. I mean, we've just all been very lucky and privileged to be facilitated to do the things that we love to do, you know, because we grew up in Dundalk. I mean, I'm from Dundalk in Ireland. It's a grand place, but it wasn't this most worldly or cultural.
Okay,
a big shot of anybody from Dundalk ever listens to this. I probably would as a good choice of words, but yeah, I mean, Dundalk is a border town in Ireland, and I stuck out like a sore thumb, but our family kind of all did. My mother's.
So you were always singing around the house where you was a kid and as a teenager?
Yeah, I was always really into Top of the Pops, and I always sang. I didn't realise that I was singing before I could talk, my mother says, but it was when I was 8 that I remember my dad I think I was saying, my sister and I were singing in the back of the car to something that my dad was playing in the tape deck, and he let a roar out of him to shut up. He said, "Shut up, whatever." And I was really embarrassed when he said that, and I said, I thought I could sing. I said, I thought I can sing, and my dad said, no, you can, but your sister can't. And it's true. My sister's tone deaf. She does, like, it's not. She's fine with that. But I didn't stop after that. I was like, okay, I can sing. So then I kind of doggedly pursued it, but without really any focus on being a professional singer. I just really loved singing.
I was going to say, did you then start having any formal training? Did you go to singing lessons or anything?
No, I didn't do any formal training until I was in my 20s, until I'd been singing for a few years, I suppose professionally, semi-professionally. I mean, I was making a living as a musician, but I was also working in a cafe or whatever. And from performing and losing my voice in performances, I knew that I had to do something about that, because I'd always kind of pushed back against training, afraid that I'd lose some elements of my own style or sound or personality if I went down a route of training my voice to be a trained voice. So I ended up going to an amazing opera singer, voice coach, and she taught me a lot, an awful lot. I still go back to her now, and that's 25 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
mean, that's amazing to have like an opera singer as your
as my
teacher,
mentor,
as your mentor.
I was just really lucky. I mean, I lived in Galway in the west of Ireland, and it has a great art scene, music scene, and I mean, I came through art college. My first band, Cookies Avant, were all kids from the art school that I became friends with. It was through one of those guys that I met Michael. Michael is a female opera singer from Canada. Yeah, her name is Michael.
So let's go to Dublin in 2008, where it all started.
Mm.
A chance meeting.
With my friend Pavel, yeah. I had been performing for quite some time before that, but I moved to Dublin in 2007, and somebody asked me. I used to do swing dancing, quite a lot of swing dancing, and I love big band, I love swing music, and I had been singing jazz with my other band in Galway. I mean, that was going on for about 8 years, and then we stopped playing really together because everybody had other priorities. And then I was asked to perform at a swing event, so I put a new band together with Pavel, and that was when the Blue Boys came about. Yeah.
So the Blue Boys, where did that name come from?
uh, God, 2008. I can't remember. I never really had an idea to have a band name. I mean, it was always supposed to be a kind of an umbrella term and a placeholder, because we had a rotating ensemble of musicians, so it was never the same people. So I just thought, okay, well, I can just give it a standard name, or generic, kind of not meaning anything, and then nobody will ever expect or know what to expect, and I'll be freer with what we do.
Now you are writing your own songs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about that process? Do you write on your own? Do you have a partner? How do you do it?
Many different ways. Many different ways, really. At the minute, I'm working with a guitarist and songwriter, Brighton, who I have never even met in person. We've just Zoomed, and that came about through the pandemic and needing to do something when you couldn't really mix with people. But generally, I will either have like a turn of phrase, or I'll read something, or a film will inspire something, and I'll write lyrics, or I'll have and oftentimes it'll happen when I'm driving, or if I'm walking the dogs at night or something, that a melody will come into my head and I'll get stuck on that, and I'll be able to kind of develop that myself, put some sort of idea behind it, and then I'll work with another musician. And because I don't read music, so I kind of, in some ways, I'm reliant on other musicians to complete a song. I mean, I have written songs on my own, but they wouldn't be the most complicated arrangements. And, if I work with somebody else, I have more freedom to explore the arrangements of the soundscape.
Now, I've seen you play live a couple of times now,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my favourites, and I'm always putting it on your Instagram account, please can you do Superstar, which is the original from the Carpenters. Now, let's talk about this arrangement of Superstar, because I think it is just magical. To me, it's the pain of love, it's the bliss of love, it's the euphoria. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. It's a seriously melancholic song. I mean,
which makes it so powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, if I'm honest, my arrangement kind of harks back to my dad, weirdly, because my arrangement is stolen really from Bette Midler's arrangement of it. And the tape that my dad was playing in the car when he told us to shut up was Bette Midler. So that was when I was 8. He was listening to her album, and I thought all I was aware of Bette Midler was her movies from the 80s, Ruthless People or Outrageous Fortunes, which were hilarious. And then I discovered that she was this phenomenal torch song singer. So she's one of my big heroes, because she is a song interpreter. She's not just a singer. She's not just a musician. She interprets the songs, and she embodies them. It's about channeling the genuine emotion of the song. I think that's what I try and do with it. And to me, Superstar is a song that anybody can really relate to, because we've all had crushes on icons or on unattainable people, so that's really where it comes from.
But when you're singing something like Superstar, and I'm sure most people are familiar with this song, even if it's just the Karen Carpenter version, There is so much emotion that goes into that. Are you not physically drained?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I know it
Yeah.
always comes towards the end, and I just wonder if there's a reason for that.
Well, I don't know, Sheila, because um, I like to think that all the songs in the set have a certain emotional intensity that, I mean, I know that that specific song is very intense, but all the songs that we do, I mean, you've seen me perform. I'm not really I'm in the moment so much that I don't really think about it at the time. But after a concert, I don't know if it's one specific song, one particular song, but I mean, I'm generally exhausted after a concert because it is channeling emotion, or it is, I can't, I mean, I have gone on stage and sang songs that I'm not familiar with, that I'm not super familiar with, but to me, they feel disingenuous or less authentic. So whatever I'm singing, it goes to a place that leaves me exhausted, even if it's a happy song, really. Because I mean, I have to really take myself out of where I am, wherever I'm feeling in that moment in real life is parked while I'm singing. So.
And then in 2014, you released your album Toy. Let's talk about the album cover. Let's talk about the name, and let's talk about the songs. Where do you want to start? Let's start with the name Toy.
The name Toy was, I mean...
Another one on the back of a cigarette packet or a paper napkin?
No, it was... Honestly, I mean, if you look at the pictures, the image, the visuals, the visual imagery that goes with the album was all based around Marilyn Monroe and Marlon Brando and Madonna. And to me, I mean, I've always been a Madonna fan. There's she's the greatest. So there was a play on that. There was a play on the idea of childish things and putting away childish things. That thing. It's time to put away childish things. And then being a boy toy, toys have so many different connotations. Sex toys. I mean, I just wanted. I felt like what I was presenting at that time was something very much who I felt like I wanted to be, which was not non-binary, but gender non-specific, playful, sexy, and maybe a little bit risque or edgy or even offensive to some people.
Okay, let's put everyone out of their agony. Explain the cover. What is the picture on the cover?
Well, there's two covers. I think. Oh, there's two covers. Have you seen? Are you talking about the record or the CD?
I'm looking at the CD.
The CD is the little doll. It's a little ceramic.
Oh no, I must be looking at the one
the pictures
with
inside.
The tutu.
Oh, the tutu. Yeah, that's the album. That's the vinyl. So, and the vinyl is the images that are on it are homage to a shoot that Marilyn Monroe did.
Right.
And so it's really. I mean, it's
a recreation.
It's a recreation
but
of
with
that.
A twist.
But also with the masculinity of like Marlon Brando or the leather fetish scene, all of those things.
Because it's mean and moody with the colour and your pose, but then you've got this beautiful frothy tutu. So it's the meeting of several worlds.
Yeah, I think that's what it is exactly. And I think even the music that's contained in that album is also a meeting of all of those things. Because I mean, I'm writing songs about my life, but they're presented, in a kind of some almost vaudevillian or cabaret soundscape. Everything about that album was supposed to be in some ways confusing, or at least make people wonder or question or think about it. And it really worked. I mean, it really worked. To me, it wasn't even a second thought when we talked about doing a cover. I was like, this is what I would like to do, and I'd love to use these photographs as a jumping off point. And it's so shocking to me that a tutu has become a thing that people come back to all the time, because to me, I was like, I mean, I've worn many different forms of clothes on stage and in my personal life. I mean, even with my mustache, I forget that I have these things are things that other people notice. Yesterday, I had somebody stop me in the street and talk about my mustache, and it was the first time I'd been.
Oh yeah, because you haven't got the handlebar,
but I had
today.
I haven't today, but I had, and it was the first time without a mask that I'd been at the market in 2 years. So I forget that I even have this mustache, And it's the same with the tutu. To me, it's just it was nothing really. It was at that time, it was how I felt, but I didn't think it was anything newsworthy, I suppose. Not newsworthy, but spectacular. I don't know. It's funny.
Oh, I
It's
think
funny.
definitely
Well,
is.
I know, and that's fun. It's funny.
Yeah,
It.
yeah.
But that's just who I am. I'm not.
I think the thing is we can all take what we want from it. To me, it was the moodiness, the masculinity, and the tutu.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was just a mixture of those things.
Which is exactly what what it should have been. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about the video that's on YouTube. Escalante Street. Oh my God, I am in love with this video. Let's just talk about what the video is. So it was filmed here in Valencia.
Yes. Yeah.
Along the Malvarosa beach and in the Cabin Round district, where we are now, which was an old fisherman's village originally.
Yeah.
How did all this come about? It's a big production number.
It is a big production, but
with only you, but it's a lot going on in this video.
But it didn't cost very much. It was a real guerrilla project. Jean-Marc Sanchez, who is a neighbour and a friend of ours, volunteered his services and said he'd make a video. At the time, I didn't know him very well, so I said, of course, knock yourself out. I don't have any money, so if you want to make a video, but I don't know how you're going to do that, but I'm here to support you in that project. Because he'd heard the song and loved it. And we got onto the same page really quickly with our inspirations. And my favourite film is The Lost Boys, which is a vampire movie from the 80s. Also, he's really into that genre. So it was just very easy. We developed the process over a couple of coffees, sending each other video clips and talking about different things. I came up with a small budget. We figured out how much it would cost and what we could do. And how we could cut corners, really, I suppose. But it was a production that he pulled out of nothing. There was like he had 5 or 6 people working on it at different points, and we just shot it all around the barrio in our apartment on friend's roof. We almost got arrested. We had the police called on us because we snuck onto a terrace of an apartment I used to live in. I thought we had permission, but we didn't have permission from one of the tenants of the apartment. He called the police, and then the police came. So I'm wearing heels and a mini dress.
I was to say, so by the sounds of it, this could have been shut down very, very quickly.
We just had to run. We had to grab our bags and run, and then 2 police cars arrived as we were running off down the street, and we got away with it. Because I don't know how I'd have explained my heels and
well, how you are running along that wall with those stiletto heel boots on is just beyond me.
Yeah, I mean,
and you got this beautiful sort of frilly shirt with the sleeves and everything.
Yeah, the heels is no problem for me at all. I've been running in heels since I was 3, since I could walk. Really, my aunt, my mum and my aunts were all very glamorous, and there was always heels there, and I was kind of obsessed with them, really. And then throughout college, I was performing. I'm not a drag queen, but I've been in the Rocky Horror Show. I've done lots of performances where I was in gender non-conforming clothes, I guess is what you'd call it. Women's clothes. I don't know I don't think there's any such thing as women's specific clothes. But anyway, that's another story. Yeah, I mean, I love heels. Those heels are really uncomfortable.
Well, they did the job for the video. It looked amazing, and the way it was filmed with the shadow and the light and the darkness, it's fantastic.
That was a lot. John Mark. He's very smart.
He did a good job on that one.
Considering what we had to work with, what he had to work with. Yeah, it was good. And actually, I didn't even tell him what I was wearing for it. We had ideas. I'm a costume designer also, so I had very strong ideas of what I wanted, and I did the set dressing and everything. But I just turned up that night in the heels and the mini dress, and he had no idea what he was going to be shooting. So it worked really well.
It did work really well. Let's talk about the logo. That we've got the J and the N for Jaime Nanci. We've got the old-fashioned microphone, and then we've got the anchor.
Yeah. That is also, I mean, the microphone I use all the time. Oh, that's the wrong arm. This is my mic, which I've always used.
Yeah, that's one heck of a tattoo.
It's a Shure 55, which we're using now. It's almost like my security blanket.
Because you bring your own mic to the venue, don't you?
Yeah, I've always sang with it. I suppose it's an affectation that I developed when I started out. I loved Elvis. I loved rock and roll and swing, and that mic was something that I'd always loved. So when I had enough money to buy my first one, I bought one, and I've had various versions of it ever since. So the microphone was that obviously in there. My friend Pete designed the logo He was involved in a lot of the branding and styling for that project, Toy album. So yeah, the anchor is just another. It's like a sailor thing, you know, sailor tattoos. That's a lyric from one of the songs there as well. So I think yeah, it just tied it in. I think he needed something to put in the other little box. I liked it.
So let's talk about what is the future for Jaime Nanci and what is the future for you and the Blue Boys? Any projects?
The Blue Boys don't exist. Well, they still exist back in Ireland, but those boys are there. And if I go back to Ireland to perform, it'll be with those guys because they're amazing and my really good friends. But I'm working with a bunch of local Argentinian, Spanish, English musicians at the minute. I had a Canadian friend who was playing bass. He just left today. So, I mean, I'm performing all around the city. COVID changed my approach to music, and also getting older, and yeah, I mean, really looking at why I do it and what I do, why I do what I do, and how I do it, have all matured, I think, a little bit over the last 2 years. I mean, I'm not young enough to go chasing after gigs or chasing after fame or chasing after notoriety or any of those things that are oftentimes kind of confused with success and happiness. As far as my industry or music goes, you know, you think that you should be playing every night of the week. You don't turn down any concert that you're offered. You play as much as you can because you just don't know when the next income or pay is coming, or, you know, I don't know. There's so many different reasons. Now I just play because I love performing. I love singing, and I love meeting people like you who make me realize that actually what I'm doing is worthwhile. But also I just do it because I feel. Can I curse? I feel freaking great when I'm on stage performing. When I come off stage, I don't even think about it again until the next time I'm going to do it, really. So I think I'll just keep writing. As I said, I'm working with a guy we wrote Escalante Street together, Tim, in England, and we've got another 6 or 7 songs in development. I'm supposed to make another film with Jean-Marc for the second single, which will come out soon. It's actually supposed to come out in May. And then maybe an album, but I don't know, Sheila. I'm playing it by ear because the last 2 years have been such a uncertain time that I don't know what's going to happen next. If I can perform, I'm happy, really, you know.
Well, I think that is a great way to end the podcast. If I'm performing, I'm happy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think that sounds brilliant. Jaime, thank you so much. I know I've been on your case for a long time. Please, 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 can we do a podcast? And we've done it.
Well, I just didn't understand why anybody would want to talk to me. So.
Well, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And I'm so glad that we've got together at last and you didn't disappoint.
Thank you so much.
Marvellous. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe on whatever platform you are using. It is free, and if you would like to tell your story, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.